Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we're finding the surface area, we need to determine what type of shape is this. So remember, it's either a prism or a pyramid, bless you, and it's either going to be a rectangular or a triangular prism or pyramid. So what is this?
Rectangular prism.
This is a rectangular prism. Yes, you are writing every single little thing that I write on this paper. So if it's a rectangular prism, can somebody tell me how I'm finding the surface area? What the formula is? Dominique? What? Not quite. Ava?
Like the 2 times.
Mm-hmm. Right. The 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. Okay. And I'm going to give you the formulas on the test, but you've got to be able to determine what shape it is and what formula you have to use, okay? But I will give this to you on the test. So now that you have the formula, it's very important that you go back and label those numbers, L, W, and H. Looking at your worksheets from Tuesday, a lot of you had the right formula set up and you did everything correct. You just weren't plugging in your numbers correctly. So you weren't labeling it, so you accidentally said, okay, 7 is my height, so I'm going to plug it in for H here, but you accidentally plugged it in for W here. And that'll throw your answer completely off. So it's important that you label these so that when you're plugging them in, you're plugging them in correctly. Okay? So my 12, that would be my length. 6 is my width. 7 is my height. Remember on Tuesday I told you it doesn't matter if I said that this was my length and this was my width, as long as I labeled it L and W and plugged them in for L and W, I'm going to get the correct answer. Okay? So as long as you put a H, a L, and a W with a number and you plug it in for that same letter, your answer will be correct. Okay? All right. So that means I've got 2 times L, which is 12, times W, which is 6, plus 2 times L again, which is 12, H is 7, plus 2 times W, which is 6, times H, which is 7. To be on the safe side, you need to multiply everything first and get a number, and then add all those 3 together. Because if you don't, your calculator may think that you're trying to add 6 and 2 before multiplying everything. Okay? So go ahead and multiply these 3 numbers and write it down. So what do we get? 2 times 12 times 6. So we get 144. Plus, do the same thing. So 2 times 12 times 7.
168.
168. Plus 2 times 6 times 7.
84.
84. Now add them all up together. So what do we get? Somebody tell me what you get.
266.
396. Okay. So your surface area should be 396 what? Centimeters squared. Good. Like I said, a lot of you are doing okay on these. This is the rectangular prisms is what you're doing the best on. Okay. The other ones is really what you're having trouble with. The main thing y'all are doing is you're accidentally plugging in a 12 for L somewhere down here, but in the next L you're accidentally plugging in a 6 because you're not labeling it. Okay. So make sure that you label those numbers so when you're plugging in you say L. Where is L? L is right here. L is 12. W. W is here. It's 6. Okay. Questions on that one? All right. Let's move on to number 2. What type of figure do I have? A rectangular, or actually it's a what? Look at that base. It's actually a square, right? But if you say it's a rectangular, I'm fine with that. So the base here is that square. So this would be a square, what did we say? Pyramid.
So it would be a rectangle or square?
Yeah. I mean, you're still going to find it the same way. Remember, to find area of a square or a rectangle is the same thing. All right, so what's my formula for a pyramid?
Area of one base.
P. Slant height. Perfect. Yeah. So my surface area is area of the base, which we say is capital B, plus 1/2 capital P, because that's the perimeter of the base, times cursive L, which is our slant height. So to find capital B, we said that was area of the base, and my base is what? What shape?
It's a square.
A square. So how do I find that?
Base times height.
Base times height or length times width, right? So in this case, that's going to be 9 times 9. I'm going to go ahead and write down every single little step, and I suggest you do too. Okay, instead of writing 81, just so when you're looking back, you won't be able to say, well, how did I get 81 there? You can see I did 9 times 9, and then in the next step we'll put 81. Okay, because this is going to help you a lot. If you write down every single little step, you should be able to look at it to solve any other problem that you have. Okay. All right, plus 1/2 capital P. How do we find capital P? Add all the sides together, right? So 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9. I want you all to write that down. 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9. So that you know you're adding up all 4 sides when you have a square base. What's my slant height? 11. That's that dotted line that's going from the tip to the side of the base. Alright, so like we said, 9 times 9, we get 81. Plus 1/2 times 36 times 11. Okay. Then that gives me 81 plus what? What is 1/2 times 36 times 11? 1/2 times 36 times 11? 198. Thank you. And then add 81 to that. What do you get? 270. Okay, that y'all give me the final answer. 279. Okay. So what is it? 279 what?
Inches squared.
Inches squared. Good. Any questions on that one? You got all that copied? Okay, moving on to number 3. What shape do I have here?
Triangle and rectangle.
Okay, first off, do I have 2 shapes that are completely parallel to each other? I do. What shapes are they? Triangles. These 2 triangles right here, see that? They're completely parallel to each other. So since I have 2 shapes parallel, that tells me it's a prism. And then whatever those shapes are, that's how you name it. So a triangular prism. Right. What am I? Parallel. Parallel, remember that means they never touch. So if you have 2 parallel lines, like a double yellow line in the middle of a road, how they never ever touch each other, they're parallel. And those triangles will never ever touch each other. The rectangles touch each other, but the triangles will never, so they are parallel. Okay. All right. Do we remember how to find surface area of a triangular prism?
Yeah.
Anna? Good. It's not an actual formula. It's just finding the sum of all 5 sides. Finding the area of all five sides and adding them together. Okay. So how many sides should I have total? 5, right? A triangular prism is always going to have 5 sides. 2 triangles and then 3 rectangles. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is normally I find the area of my triangles first, my bases. Did they already do that for me though?
Yes.
Yeah, they told me that the area of the base, which is that triangle, is 8.8. Okay. And how many triangles do I have?
2.
2. So I'm going to put a little 2 right there next to it and circle it to tell me that I've got to add those twice. So now that means I need to find the area of the rectangles. So how do I find the area of a rectangle? Or length times width, right? More technical, it's length times width. So let's look at this this rectangle right here on the side. Can somebody tell me the length and the width of that?
4.5. 4.1.
Good. 4.5 is that side right there. And then this is 4.1. So I've got 4.1 times 4.5. So what does that give me? Thank you, Braylon. 18.45. Okay. Now if I look at this other side rectangle, what do I know about the length and width of it? It's the same, right? Because this is 4.5. This leg right here, it has to be the same as this one. So if that's 4.1, that means this is 4.1 as well. So I know I've got 2. All right, what about this bottom one? It's 4.5 and 4.1 as well, right? So in this case, all 3 of those rectangles were the same dimensions. So I'm going to put a little 3 right there. So now if I need to find the surface area, that means I'm adding my triangle twice and my rectangle 3 times. So I've got 8.8 plus 8.8 plus 18.45 So you've got 2 8.8s and 3 18.45s. Now could I write this in a different way and say 2 times 8.8 plus 3 times 18.45?
Yes.
You can. I didn't do it right here just so when you're looking back at this, you know that you've got to add them all together. Because I think I did that on the notes and a lot of you were confused. You were like, well, why did you multiply 2 on this one, but on this one you added them? Okay. So that's why I put all of them adding. Yes?
How many rectangles do you say it was?
3.
I don't see the third.
Okay, look at where I'm tracing up here on the board. I've got 1 right here. See that? Got another side one right here. And then I've got the one that it's sitting on, that base, that bottom, right there. You see that?
Yes.
Does that make sense? So you're always going to have 2 sides. You're going to have that bottom one.
So the one that's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so what's my final surface area of this one? 72.95 what? Good. Centimeters squared. Okay, so over here to the side, I want all of you to write add all the areas of each face. So add all the areas of each face. And then in parentheses, that means that you should have 5 of them. So there should be 5 numbers you're adding together. Or maybe we should say 5 faces. Questions on that one?
Also, we don't find it. We don't find the triangle in that one.
No, because they already gave it to us. They told me that the area of the base was 8.8.
So if they give it to you, don't find it.
But if they don't give it to you, you got to find it. Okay. All right, moving on to number 4. What do I have there? Another triangular prism, right? I've got these 2 triangles right here that are parallel to each other. So it tells me it's a prism, triangular prism. So I'm taking the same exact steps that I took on the previous problem on number 3. So I'm going to find the area of my triangles first, because they didn't give it to me this time. So if I look at that triangle, can somebody tell me the two numbers that are going to be my base and my height?
8 and 15.
8 and 15, right? It's the two, yes, it's the two legs that come together and meet at that right angle. So since these two are meeting together at that right angle, that little square, those are my base and my height. So the 17, I don't need it for the triangle. I'll need it for the rectangles, but not for the triangle. Okay. So what's my formula for area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. So that means I've got 1/2 times 8 times 15. Somebody tell me what that is. 60. And how many of those do I have?
3.
I've got 2 of those, so I'm going to put a little 2 right there. So now I need to find the area of the rectangles, which I know that's going to be length times width. So let's say we look at this rectangle right here on top first.
It's 3 rectangles, right?
Yes. So what would my length and width of that triangle be? Rectangle, sorry. 7 and what? 15. Good. So it's going to be 7 times 15. Which gives me what? 105. Alright, let's look at this side rectangle over here. Do you see that one? That one's a little hard to see. Let me highlight it so you can see it. That one right there. Do you know what the length and width of that one is? 8 and 7. Because this is my length, or one of them, 8, right? So if I look at that little dotted line right there, I know that it has to be 7 because this is 7 over here. Does everybody see that? If this side is 7, then that means this side is 7 as well. So my length and width of that rectangle would be 8 times 7. Does everybody see that? Okay. So what is 8 times 7? 56. Alright, so far I've got 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 sides, and how many should I have? 5, so I know that I've got one more rectangle to find. Which would be this bottom one. So what's the length and width of that one?
17 and 7.
Good. 7 and 17. So what do I get when I multiply those? Thank you. 119. So now that I know the area of all my faces, what do I do with them? Add them together. So surface area should be 60. I've got 2 of those, so 60 plus 60 plus 105 plus 56 plus 119. So what's my final surface area? Good. 400 what? Thank you. Inches squared. Any questions about that one? We good? I hope we are writing all this down. Alright, moving on to number 5. What do I have? Triangular pyramid, right? My base right here is this triangle. And then they're all coming together and meeting at this one point. So this is a triangular pyramid. Okay, so somebody tell me what the formula for a pyramid is. Okay, good. Capital B plus 1/2 times P times L. And what does that capital B stand for again?
Area of base.
Area of the base. Is that what this is right here?
Yes.
Yes, my area of the base is given to me. So it is 27.7. So all I have to do is plug that in for capital B. So I don't even have to find it. So now I've got 1/2 times P. How am I finding P again? Add up all the sides, not all the numbers, because that means I'll be adding 15, okay? You remember, it's add up all the sides. So 8 plus 8 plus 8. And then multiply that by the slant height, which is 15. I've got 27.7 plus 1/2 times 24 times 15.
207.7. Oh, wait, never mind. Wait, yeah.
It's 1/2 times 24 times 15
Yeah.
for the final answer. I'm looking for 1/2 times 24 times 15.
Yeah.
That should be your final answer. I, again, am looking for 1/2 times 24 times 15.
Oh.
What?
180.
180. All I'm doing, Amaya, is 1/2 times 24 times 15. No. Now add those two together. What do you get, Olivia?
207.7.
207.7 centimeters squared. Any questions on that one? All right, the last one. What figure do I have? Rectangular prism. I'm not going to do this one because we're pretty good on this one, but I am going to get you started. So, what did I tell you was very important that you do with your rectangular prisms? Label your length, width, and height. Okay? So, let's just say my length is 4, my width is 1, and my height is 7. You need to do this. And then you can write your formula down, and all you got to do is plug those numbers in, okay? So remember, this is 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. Okay. And then just plug those numbers in, all right? Any questions on this worksheet? Questions about how I did something? I will give you the formulas on the test, okay? But you've still got to be able to tell, okay, what shape is it so that I know what formula I need to use. Okay? And you got to be able to know how do I find capital B and how do I find capital P. Okay? I get this to pause.